Today, the objective is to go through some numerical examples on DC motors. This is one problem which we frequently encounter in real life. You are given a shunt wound DC motor running at full speed with the parameters given. Supply voltage, which is also known as terminal voltage, is 440 volts. Armature resistance is 1.5 ohm. Field resistance is 200 ohms. Number of conductors on armature is 3000. These conductors are actually housed in several slots, but they have given us the total number, which is fine. The number of parallel paths on the armature is 2. That means it's a wave wound armature. Number of poles is 4. RPM is 3000. Flux per pole is 1.4 milliweber. Now, objective is to calculate back EMF, armature current, field current, total current, efficiency, input electrical power, output mechanical power, assuming zero mechanical loss and zero iron loss. Power loss in armature, that means IA square RA. Power loss in field windings, which is IF square RF, and the torque produced by the motor. Okay. Now, first thing is to calculate back EMF. It is phi ZNP divided by 60A. Phi is given as 1.4 milliweber. Z is given as 3000. N is also given as 3000. P is given as 4. And A is given as 2. So we put all the values in the formula. And we should get 420 volts. You can double check the calculation later. Part A, straightforward. Part B says armature current. That is also straightforward, really. Terminal voltage minus back EMF divided by armature resistance. Terminal voltage is given as 440 volts. Yeah. Armature resistance is 1.5 ohm, I think. And back EMF we have already calculated as 420 volts. So put all the values here, you'll get 13.33 amperes approximately as armature current. Field current is terminal voltage divided by field winding resistance. So 440 volts divided by 200 ohms. Yeah. So it turns out to be 2.2 amperes. The total of armature current and field current will be the terminal current. This is a motor. So the total current drawn from the supply by this motor is 13.33 plus 2.2 amperes, which is around 15.53 amperes. Efficiency, since we are assuming that losses, mechanical losses and iron losses are zero, the output mechanical power will be same as output electrical power. And output electrical power is EB into IA. Input electrical power is VT into IT. So you put the values again. EB is 420 volts. IA is 13.33 amperes. VT is 440 volts. IT is 15.53 volts. Put all the values here and multiply the result by 100 to get the efficiency in percentage. We get around 82%. Input power is VT-IT. So 440 multiplied by 15.53, which is around 6833 watts. Output power is EBIA. Both electrical and mechanical powers are the same because mechanical losses and iron losses are neglected. So output power is 5600 watts. Armature winding power loss is IA square RA. You can plug in the values of IA and RA. The number we get is 266.5 watts approximately. In the field winding, it is IF square RF. So again, put in the values, you will get around 968 watts power loss. These two are copper losses, IA square RA and IF square RF. And the last thing is the torque, which is, output power divided by omega. And omega is 2 pi n by 60. So 5600 divided by 2 pi n into 60. Do the calculations. Hopefully there is no mistake in my calculations. Output torque turns out to be 17.83 Newton meter approximately. One page is enough, I think, for all the calculations, if you know how to do them. Okay. Now, problem 2 says repeat problem 1, assuming that iron loss is 200 watts and mechanical loss is 100 watts. So now output electrical power minus 200 watt minus 100 watt will be the output mechanical power. But many things are similar, like back EMF will not change. It is still 420 volts. Armature current would also not change. It is same number as in previous problem. Field current would also not change. Terminal current would also not change. But output power would change. Okay. This scan is not perfect, but I think you can understand what I'm trying to tell you. Eta is output power divided by input power multiplied by 100. So output power, output mechanical power is output electrical power EBIA minus iron loss minus mechanical loss. And EBIA we had already calculated in the previous problem is 5600 watts. 5600 watts you take from there, you subtract 200 watt and then 100 watt. So you get 5300 watts in the numerator, and denominator is same as in the previous problem. So efficiency now is 77.56%. Input power is same number as in previous problem. Output power, however, is 5600 minus 300 watts. So 5300 watt. IA square RA is same as before. IF square RF is same as before. But torque value would change because now output mechanical power is 5300 watts. So you divide that by omega. The number is now 16.87 Newton meter. Without mechanical and iron losses, it was 17.83. So some difference is there. Okay. One more problem which I took from somewhere. A DC motor operates from a 240 volt supply. They are not giving you the nature of the motor, whether it's shunt wound or series wound or compound wound. That's not given. A DC motor operates from a 240 volt supply. That means VT, terminal voltage, is 240 volts. Armature resistance RA is 0.2 ohm. They want back EMF when the armature current is 50 amperes. IA is 50 amperes. Okay, in this case, they are not calling it VT, they are calling it V, which is fine. Notations always change depending on where you're looking. So VT is 240 volt, RA is 0.2 ohm, and IA is 50 amperes. So EB is VT minus IA RA. I guess we are assuming shunt connection here, or separately excited connection by default. So RF is not producing any drop between VT and EB. RF is in parallel with the armature. If it were in series, then that drop would also have occurred in the equation. So assumption is shunt wound or separately excited motor. So the calculation is straightforward. EB is 230 volt. Numbers are there. You can verify the calculations. Okay. Now another set of problems which I have got on the same topic. 1 minute. This one. Slightly more intensive. Try your best. A 220 volt DC shunt motor has RA equal to 0.2 ohm, RF equal to 220 ohm. Fine. The motor is driving a constant load power. That means the terminal, that means the mechanical output power is constant. Okay. And it's running at 1000 RPM, drawing 10 amperes current from the supply. So IT is 10 amperes, VT is 220 volts, RF and RA are also given, N is 1000. Calculate the new speed and new armature current if an external armature resistance of value 5 ohm is inserted in the armature circuit. I've drawn the second situation. First situation is when R external is 0. That is part 1. That's very easy to figure out. But in the second case, what happens? What will be the new armature current and what would be the new speed? That's the question. Of course, first thing we need to figure out is EB. These are the values given. VT is 220 volt, RA is 0.2 ohm, RF is 220 ohm, N1. I'm calling speed in first case as N1. That means when R external is 0, speed is N1, which is 1000 RPM. And when R external is 5 ohm, N2 is an unknown. We need to calculate that somehow. The terminal current is IT1 in the first case, and it is 10 amperes. It will be IT2 in the second case. We need to figure that out also. And once you know IT2, from there you can figure out IA2 in the second case, because IF is not going to change. Okay. Let's see how we tackle this. Case 1, without R external. IF is simply VT upon RF. It's 1 ampere. Armature current number 1. That means R external is not there. So IT1 is 10 ampere minus 1 ampere. Armature current in number 1 case is 9 amperes. EB1 is VT minus IA1 RA. It's a shunt wound case. So we get 218.2 volts. Now, EB1 is given by phi Zn1 P divided by 60A. N1 is, of course, 1000 RPM. We know that. The machine is going to be the same in both cases. So phi Z, P, and A are constant. It's a shunt wound case. IF is not changing, so phi would remain unchanged even when R external is brought in. So EB1 is some constant multiplied by N1, and N1 is 1000 RPM. And we know EB1, which is 218.2 volts. What I'm trying to tell you is that you don't need to know phi Z, P, A. because this is a constant which will appear in the second case also. Now, when R external is inserted, IT2 will be same as IT1 because they are saying constant load. That means in the second case also, we will continue to draw the same input power, which means IT2 is 10 amperes. IF is also going to be the same in the second case. Okay. That means in the second case, even the armature current will remain the same as it was in the previous case. However, now our external has been brought in. So the drop in the armature will be much higher. EB2 will now be lower. VT minus IA2 into RA plus R external. So you do the calculation, the second EB value turns out to be 173.2 volts. So EB2 is K times N2. K is the same as in equation 2. So now you take equation 1 and equation 3. EB1 divided by EB2 is N1 divided by N2. You know EB1, you know EB2, you know N1. So N2 is easy to figure out. The new speed is lower than 1000 RPM. Once R external has been introduced, the speed will drop to this value, 793.77 RPM. Armature current will not change because the output power is not changing. Okay. This is actually a method for changing the speed of the motor. R external can be made variable, and depending on what value you are choosing for R external, the speed can be controlled. When we go to speed control of DC motors, we may revisit this method. Problem 2, repeat problem 1, assuming that the voltage drop per brush is 1 volt. Also calculate the efficiency of the motor and the torque produced, assuming that iron loss and mechanical loss are 0. And in part B, iron loss is 100 watt, mechanical loss is 200 watt. What is the value of total copper loss? And all calculations should be made assuming that 5 ohm resistor is present. Problem 2 is repetition of problem 1, but with R external present. And brush drop is also given as 1 volt per brush. We will assume 2 brushes. So what would happen is, EB1 case is not there. We are talking only case number 2. So EB2, which was 173.2 volt in problem 1, now actually will become 171.2 volts because of the brush drop. Okay. And EB2 will change by 2 volts because you have to account for the brush drop. EB1 would also drop by 2 volts, although we don't need that value, but I have written it anyway. It will be 218.2 minus 2 volts. Okay. So you can repeat the calculation with these new values of EB1 and EB2. And using this equation, EB2 equal to KN2 and EB1 equal to KN1. K cancels out, you get the new value of N2. So the new value of N2, if you include the brush drop, it's slightly different from what we got when brush drop was ignored. When brush drop was ignored, we got 793.77 RPM. When brush drop is included, we get 791.86 RPM, quite close. Anyway, the real issue is calculate other things for second part when R external is present. In part A, iron loss and mechanical loss are 0. So PE and PM will be the same, and they will be EB2 into IA2. You can plug in the values, you get electrical output power equal to mechanical output power equal to 1540.8 watts. Input power is of course 220 into 10 watts based on the numbers. The efficiency is straightforward to calculate, 70% almost. In part B, the mechanical and iron losses are there. So mechanical power will be electrical power minus 100 watt minus 200 watt. So it becomes now 1240.8 watt. Input power is unchanged. Take the ratio and multiply by 100, you get 56 point something percentage. Torque, of course, is straightforward again. We are talking second case now, when R external is there. So omega 2 will be 2 pi n2 divided by 60. You can double check my calculations later. The number I got was 82.92 radian per second. Torque is 1240.8 watt divided by omega 2. You should double check this. In part A and part B, the numbers are different for torque because in part A, the output power is 1540 watt. In part B, in part A, it is 1540.8 watt. In part B, it is 1240.8 watt. So you take the appropriate number and divide by omega 2. You will get different torque values. Part A assumes that mechanical and iron loss are not there. In part B, we actually take those losses into account. Copper loss is IA2 square into RA plus IF square RF. You can check the numbers. I think you should be able to get this number. Okay. Third one is slightly more tricky. Maybe I will not push you too much on this, but at least read the problem. Here, torque is proportional to speed square, which can happen in real life. It complicates things actually, mathematically. But at least read the problem. A 220 volt DC shunt motor has RA equal to 0.2 ohm, RF equal to 220 ohm. The motor is driving load torque Tm proportional to N square and is running at 1000 RPM. This is one of the NPTEL problems which I looked at and I was able to solve it, and I found a mistake in NPTEL document actually. Okay. Is running at 1000 RPM and is drawing 10 ampere current from the supply. Calculate the new speed and the new armature current if an external armature resistance of 5 ohm is inserted. Problem is similar to what we saw in the previous two problems, but here the torque is proportional to speed square. That is an additional factor. I would prefer that you read the solution by yourself and then we can discuss later. This problem actually leads to a quadratic equation for torque, for both torque and armature current. Please go through this solution by yourself and we can discuss it offline or maybe in the next lecture. I want you to read the solution carefully first. If you don't understand it, we'll give up on this problem. Don't worry. But I think I was able to get the correct answer. You check my calculations also, because this answer does not agree with what NPTEL tells us. So please self-study problem 3 once you get the document. I will leave it to you to spend time on this problem. I'll move to the next one, which is somewhat simpler. A DC shunt motor with RA equal to 0.5 ohm, RF equal to 220 ohm. Notice armature resistance is always quite small compared to field resistance. Is running at 1000 RPM and is drawing 20 amperes from a 220 volt supply, fine. If RF is increased by 5%, calculate the new armature current and new speed. assume load torque to be constant. I'm glad about it. If load torque is constant, mathematics is always easy. No quadratic equations to solve. This is also from NPTEL, and here the answers I'm getting are exactly what NPTEL gets. Okay, so what do we do? It's a shunt motor. Terminal current is 20 ampere, terminal voltage is 220 volts, so input power is 220 into 20 watts, that's for sure. Now RF has gone up by 5%. What will be the new situation? That's what they want. Initially RF is 220 volt, and I'm calling it case 1. So IT1 is 20 amperes, IF1, you can easily figure out IF1, 220 volt divided by 220 ohm. So IF1 is 1 ampere. IA1 obviously will be difference of 20 ampere and 1 ampere, which is 19 amperes. EB1 can be figured out very easily. It turns out to be 210.5 volt. Part 1, straightforward. In part 2, RF goes up by 5%. That means 220 ohm plus 5% of 220 ohm. And 5% of 220 ohm is, I think, 11 ohms. Right? So if I add that, RF becomes 231 ohm. This is the second part. IT2 is the same, but IF2 will change now. It will become 220 volts divided by 231 ohms. That gives us 0.9524 amperes. IA2 will be difference of 20 and 0.9524 amperes. We get 19.0476 amperes. EB2 can be calculated again. It is slightly different from what we got in the previous case. Now for constant torque, we have seen torque equation in the previous class. IF1 into IA1 equal to IF2 into IA2, because everything else is constant in the torque equation. So you basically take IF1 and IA1 from case 1, take IA2 from case 2, and use this equation to figure out, sorry, take IF2 from this equation, from the case 2, and figure out IA2. It turns out to be 19.945 amperes. Second case, speed can also be easily figured out by using this equation. Back EMF is proportional to phi into N, and phi is proportional to IF. That is why I'm writing this equation. For the second case, it is phi 2 N2, which is proportional to IF2 into N2. For the first case, it is phi 1 N1, which is proportional to IF1 N1. So constant of proportionality cancels out in the division. Using this equation, I calculate N2. Okay. This problem, I think, should be okay for you to tackle. Okay. Let's see if we can do. Yeah, now series motor. We have done a lot of problems on shunt motors. How about series motor? A 220 volt DC series motor has RA equal to so much, RF equal to so much. In series motor or even in series generators, RF is not very large because that will kill the performance. In shunt motors or shunt generators, RF is quite large. Here it's a small value. The motor draws 30 amperes from the supply, which is 220 volts, and speed is 1000 RPM. If an external resistance of 1 ohm is inserted in series with the motor, calculate the new steady state values of armature current I and speed N. By the way, in these problems, we are always concerned with the steady state current. Don't worry about transient behavior. We are always calculating steady state behavior. There are times when they may ask you to do transient calculations, but I'm not doing that in this course. That would become too much. So series motor case is right here. Field resistance and armature resistance are in series in this case. In case 1, there is no external resistance present. I'm showing no external resistance here. EB1 can be calculated based on all the data that's known to us. We get 212.5 volts. Okay. Now it's a constant torque situation. Just a minute. Yeah, load torque remains constant, yes. So when you go to second part, when R external has been brought in series with RA and RF, because torque is constant, and torque we have seen in a series motor is proportional to armature current square. Go back to my notes, you'll see that again. Okay, so some constant multiplied by armature current square is the torque. And that constant is same in both cases. So if torque is constant in both cases, we get IA1 square equal to IA2 square. That means IA2 equal to IA1. So armature current, even after the external resistance has been brought in, will remain unchanged because you want the same torque. It is still 30 amperes. IA1 and IA2 are same because of constant torque. If torque were proportional to speed square, then it would be a very different story. So second case is where R external has been brought in, but current remains still 30 amperes. So EB2 is easy to figure out. It is turning out to be 182.5 volts. Now, the new speed is easy to figure out by using this well-known equation. EB2 divided by EB1 equal to IF2 N2 upon IF1 N1. We have all the data here. Plug in the values. You can verify my calculations that new speed is 858.82 RPM. Then, yeah, this is again complicated. Don't bother too much if you don't understand this, but these things are more close to reality. The torque is proportional to speed square in many real life situations. I've solved this. You can go through the solution if you want. We again get a quadratic equation to solve. And if you don't feel like, just ignore it, okay? But I'm at least telling you that these things are doable. Now the last problem, which is again simple one. A 500 volt DC motor draws an armature current of 540 amperes on full load. Okay. They are not telling us whether it's a series motor or shunt motor. Okay. Calculate the value of the back EMF if the armature resistance is equal to 2 milliohm. Okay. I guess, yeah, they are assuming shunt motor again. So using simple formula, EB equal to VT minus IAR. They are not assuming series motor here. I would give you that freedom that if nothing is given, you assume shunt motor, okay, by default. Now, part B. A 15 horsepower. Remember, a horsepower is 746 watts almost. Output power is 15 multiplied by 746 watts. This is mechanical power. 230 volts, 1750 RPM, DC shunt motor. Okay, we know it's a shunt motor. Good. Has a terminal current of 56.2 amperes when delivering rated power at rated speed. RA equal to 0.28 ohm and RF equal to 137 ohm. Compute rated torque of the shaft shaft is being driven by this motor. Armature current for a locked rotor. Locked rotor means rotor is not rotating. N is 0. That is what they mean by locked. And the value of external resistance required to limit IA and develop torque to 200% of the rated value. This is essentially a problem concerning starters. I was telling you last time that if you don't put anything in circuit in the beginning, a large current would flow in the motor because EB will be 0 and motor would be damaged. So you put an external resistance to begin with in the circuit to make sure that the current going in the circuit is not too large. And as motor starts picking speed, EB starts becoming higher, then you gradually reduce the value of that resistance. That is called a starter. This problem actually is related to starters. Some things are simple, some may not be. Output power is 15 horsepower multiplied by 746 watts, which turns out to be 11190 watts almost. Omega obviously is 2 pi n by 60. N is given at 1750 RPM. So you calculate omega, it turns out to be 183.26 radian per second. So rated torque is very easy to figure out. Output rated power divided by omega. Rated torque of the motor is around 61.06 Newton meter. That's easy to figure out. Okay. Part B says for locked rotor, that means when N is 0, what will be the armature current? In this case, EB is 0. Armature current will simply be VT divided by RA, which is very large current, 821.43 amperes. Motor would get damaged. That is without a starter. Okay, and field current, of course, will be simply VT divided by RF. It's a shunt motor, right? VT is 230 volt, RF is 137 ohm. Divide 230 by 137. IF will be simply 1.68 amperes. That you can figure out. But armature current is going to be very large for a locked rotor because EB is 0. We don't want this. That's why part C is there. How much R external should be brought in to have safe operation. If you want to limit, forget torque right now. If you want to limit the maximum armature current to 200% of the rated value. Rated value is 56.2 amperes. 200% of that will be 56.2 multiplied by 2. That is the maximum current allowed in the motor for safe operation. So R external has to be figured out based on that fact. I at the starting should not be more than this value. 2 into, oh sorry, my mistake. 56.2 actually is the terminal current. From there you subtract 1.68 ampere, which is field current, to get the actual armature current, and multiply that result by 2 to get the maximum starting current which is allowed. And that value turns out to be 109.04 amperes. Now R external is simply terminal voltage divided by this maximum allowed current. And of course, from there you subtract the value of RA. Little bit difference will be there. RA is not very large anyway. It is some milli ohms, I think. Actually, it is 0.28 ohm. Sorry, it's a little large. Yeah. So 230 volt divided by maximum allowed current in the armature. Maximum allowed current from the terminals, not in the armature, which is 109.04, will give you the total current going in. Will give you the total resistance in the circuit. From there, you subtract armature resistance to get the external resistance that you should connect for safe operation. So this is a method to calculate the value of the starting resistance. The value we get is 1.83 ohm. Okay, one more problem is there. Let's see how much time. Okay, give me 2 more minutes. Let me complete this at least. 220 volt DC series motor has RA so much, RF so much. The motor draws 30 amperes from the supply. Okay, it's a diverter resistance. Okay, maybe you won't. Case A is when it's a normal series motor. We don't have time left to go through calculations, but take the concept at least. In case A, I have RF and RA in series. In case B, in parallel with RF, we connect an external resistance which helps in controlling the performance of the motor. So in both cases, I have done the calculations, and we are running out of time today, but I would like you to go through this solution by yourself